That was fun. Doom: The Dark Ages is the latest entry in id Software's anger management therapy simulator, and it's just about as satisfying as the previous ones. This game takes place prior to the events of Doom 2016 and after the events of Doom 64, specifically shortly after Doomguy's subjection to the Divinity Machine shown in Doom Eternal, and it tells the story of the Slayer's time as a member of the Night Sentinels and their war against Prince Azrak, a demon lord and commander of the Horde. What really sets this game apart from prior entries is that id Soft is showing that they're really trying to further flesh out the Doom lore and make it a whole universe. I, for one, absolutely love this, as it allows me to further enjoy Doom not just as a game, but also as a story. And speaking of stories, you should subscribe. We got plenty of stories, lots of those coming soon, lots of them already here, lots of content. Click the button. Do it. Doom TDA does feel a bit different from the prior two games, but in a good way. While Doom Eternal made you feel like an Apache attack helicopter, or perhaps even a fighter jet, Doom: The Dark Ages makes you feel like a tank. An indestructible tank. With a chainsaw shield. Many of the levels have a more open sandboxy feel to them compared to the linear levels in the prior two games. It's generally the same idea as prior entries. Fight your way through waves of demons, collect stuff, find keys to progress further through the level, etc. The combat doesn't have nearly as much verticality as it did in Doom Eternal, but it still feels very fun. It's a good in-between of the classic Doom and the new Doom, keeping you close to the ground but still maintaining the enhanced brutality that we've come to know and love. As for the arsenal itself, you have your guns, shield, and melee options. The shield can block attacks and parry hell surges, which can stagger demons and make them easier to rip and tear. Although to be honest, there's not as much tearing, or ripping? One of those. As glory kills have been swapped out for executions, which are basically the same idea. Finisher attacks that restore resources by brutalizing a neutralized demon. The main difference between the two is that Doomguy kinda doesn't have full access to both of his hands due to having to hold a shield, but it still works super well and is still pretty satisfying. The weapon mod upgrades from the last two games have sort of been swapped out entirely for different guns that use the same ammo type. For example, the combat shotgun and the super shotgun can be swapped and have different effects, though I really do miss the meat hook. Rocket launcher and grenade launcher is another example of these swappable weapons. As for melee, you have your fists, a flail, and a mace. All of these have their own perks and bonuses, and the mace, while it has a slower cooldown than the other two options, is capable of doing massive damage. As was with the previous games, several weapon skins, codex pages, and collectible figures are littered throughout the game. There's also now the addition of gold, rubies, and wraith crystals, which are used to upgrade your guns, shield, and melee weapons. Armor, health, and armor upgrades are now obtained by unaliving leader demons. These basically serve as mini-bosses, usually found while proceeding through levels, and at the end of optional gore nest encounters. Rip out the leader's heart, and use it to fuel your unending rage against the forces of hell. In addition to the standard gameplay, there are also two very new fun features in the game. The Atlan Battlemech and Doomslayer's new bestie, Surat the Dragon. And he is a very good boy. While fighting in the Atlan mech, you get to take on giant titan demons in what is basically a super fun smackathon. Levels with Surat will involve you riding upon the good boy and blowing stuff up with his back-mounted cannon, turrets, and occasional fire breath while flying the Slayer to different objective points. This game has, for better or worse, become the latest generational benchmark, as is tradition with new Doom games. Unfortunately, this one does kind of push it a bit by forcing you to have something with ray tracing. So if you're not on a fairly recent GPU, well, rest in peace. This game has single-handedly made me see the appeal of consoles again. When I started the game, I was stuck on a 2070 Super and everything was set to low, and surprisingly, everything still looked pretty good. But after the upgrade to the 5070, oh my god! This game looks glorious. Since the GPU upgrade, everything was set to Ultra at 2K resolution and a consistent 120 frames per second. I don't like 144, I like it divisible by 30. Causes problems with my capture card if I don't do that. I probably could even go to Ultra Nightmare if I wanted to, but my CPU is kind of already bottlenecked and I don't really want to push it to, exploding. I'll upgrade that part later. The landscapes in this game are lovely, yes, even the ones in hell. I particularly like the forest level in the first half of the game, as well as the bizarre eldritch spaces seen in later levels. I like that we get to explore a wider variety of environments in which to slay the Horde. I get that they were trying to revive the vibes that were present in the original Doom games, where some of the music is a bit slower, but It just feels like something's missing. I don't know if it needs more angry calculator per se, and while finishing moves, metal riffs, and ominous tunes are fantastic and fit the usual Doom vibe, I am still a little confused as to why they didn't just have Andrew Hulshult do the music for this game, especially after he and David Levy did such a great job with the music in Eternals DLC. And listen, I just finished Expedition 33, which was one of the best gaming soundtracks of all time, in my honest opinion. So I was a little let down by this, especially considering my love for the OSTs of the prior Doom games. Except for, 64, of course, because it doesn't really have an OST. It's basically non-existent. Listen, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to outdo The Only Thing They Fear Is You, but, at least make an attempt to match it? In all honesty, the OST itself is actually pretty good. Tracks like Unchained Predator, Infernal Chasm, Hellspawn Rift, Ancestral Beast, Between Hex and Flame, etc. They all sound great on my workout playlist.
All right.
My big issue with the soundtrack is that the hype moments from many of the songs don't play enough during combat in-game. Now, there were some mixing issues that have since been patched as of writing this review, so I am going to have to jump in and see how many of my complaints have been addressed. And honestly, I'm glad that id Software cares enough to regularly make updates and add community-requested features, so at least there's that. Overall, while Doom: The Dark Ages is a somewhat different game than its predecessors, it's still a unique and super fun game, and I highly recommend not just this game, but the entirety of the Doomslayer's Tale to everyone that loves video games. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go 100% this game and slay more demons while I wait for the expansion. Rip and tear.